Remember way back when, before the GT Sport demo came out, I said the first person who did a Mopar livery that I would feature them in a video? And I did that and then featured a few other Mopar liveries along the way to like the main game and such. Well, now GT Sport has actually added a way where you can feature all of the Mopar liveries for all of the time, even made in the demo to today. And that's pretty big and cool, right yonder? So, well, let's go ahead and feature that. This is all of the Mopar liveries ever created in GT Sport. I don't know how long this will take. I don't know if my internet will take it, but let's try it and see what happens. I don't even know if my phone has enough memory for this. This will be fun, won't it? This is starting off from newest to oldest because that's the easiest way to load it in. But, well, I'm pretty sure they will all be pretty big and awesome. I'm not really a stickler for liveries. If people think they did good and it's something that I like, which obviously Mopar is one of those things I like, then I'll generally be okay with it. And well, these are no exception. For example, that one's mine, that one's someone else's, that one's way better than mine, but well, people still seem to actually like mine too. So that's good that there's generally a good crowd with these that sort of are on my base of, the highest quality ones made by the people who know what they're doing best, or the ones that get highest rated, but all of them seem to share in the light somewhat, which is always a good thing. It's one of the good things about just the GT Sport community in general. As I've said in other videos, GT Sport seems to have pretty good community, even though it's people bashing this game probably more than any other. Remember back when people were bashing GT6 quote unquote a lot because it just was kind of the same thing as GT5 again, and it just didn't really seem worth the full $60. Yeah. Now there's this. Take that as you may. Moving on. This would make it a bit more worth it. If you ever did a Mopar livery, well, it's gonna be here if you kept it up, and maybe that's what will make y'all's day anyway. I did probably, 5 or so for this game. And another thing about this game in particular is decal uploader made it a whole heck of a heap easier to do Mopar type liveries, because where you could get all the Mopar decals and stuff on there. You could do the general, just a Mopar M with the word Mopar under it. And then you could do the Viper logo and the SRT logo and the Dodge logo and the Demon logo and all of those cool logos. And then you could do the artwork too, the Mopar performance parts with the yellow and the red and the blue and stuff on it. And then you could get the skull, and then you can get other miscellaneous, the older Mopar logo with the Chrysler badge, the star looking thing. GT Sport has best livery editor, at least in my opinion, because it has a decal uploader to go along with it. But the only thing that I don't really like about GT Sport's livery editor, now that I've added all this too, they should have had this from the beginning, given that the website had it. Now, about the only thing that I have a complaint about is they don't actually show how many people downloaded people's cars. Seems like every other game that had a livery editor had something along the lines of that. Even if it wasn't necessarily downloads, it was how many people used it or whatever, how some people would download it, not actually use it, or some people would actually download it and then use it on multiple cars, so the numbers would be skewed there. This game doesn't really have either, but whatever, that's really only one nitpick compared to everything else being pretty big and good, so can't complain too much. It could be a lot worse, really. And speaking of older games as well, one thing that I can tell this game holds up quite a bit better, as I said, the fan base deals with this some too, is just the way in which liveries are handled. The GT Sport censorship system is kind of iffy, but people in general seem to actually behave pretty good for this game. Need for Speed had some malfunctions of clothing, I guess. That's the nicest way of putting it. GT Sport, even though there are some lack of some clothing, there generally is at least articles of clothing there. Need for Speed was different. Midnight Club pretty much had no rules. Those are the three I'm most familiar with. Midnight Club Los Angeles has sort of kind of made sense because it's a Rockstar created game. They don't really care if they get in trouble. They have money to afford it. And I mean, it's Midnight Club Los Angeles for Jiminy Creed's sake. Just that name in general kind of entails that there'd be some stuff there. And it's the earliest game with a livery editor that I remember. Maybe like the very earliest Forza might have had one. I can't really remember. But Midnight Club LA will be 10 years old this year. Makes you feel old again, like the Burnout Paradise is over 10 years old now. Jimmy Cricket. But yeah, they had a livery editor for 10 years, so maybe the stipulations were different with what people could get away with back then to now. Need for Speed, it might have been sort of kind of in the middle, because for whatever reason that game was actually rated teen. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just so they could get away with more stuff in the livery editor, but even that in and of itself seems kind of weird, just because supposedly online isn't rated, just because it's kind of hard to rate something that happens live. It's probably good to censor downright illegal stuff, but I mean, the amount of clothing people wear, depending on where they are, is still going to be legal. People drinking alcohol, as long as they're 21, is still legal. Even in other countries, people doing drugs might be legal in that country that the person uploaded it in, but then some of that stuff still gets censored anyway, and then some of the stuff that would be straight up illegal in any country sometimes actually doesn't. So GT Sport has one of the iffier censorship things, but it seems like the people in general who upload the liveries are for the most part mature enough not to abuse it. Probably now more than ever, given that people are starting to get banned for stuff, and the ban regulations are extremely broad. But that's a different video for a different time. This is now, and I mean, now ain't bad. Now is going probably as well as anybody figured. I mean, again, there's really only one main complaint about this livery editor, and in terms of making the cars in general, it is better than any other game. Decal uploader is really a good thing to have for livery editor. Makes things a lot easier, that's for sure. And another thing that the GT Sport community in general, which makes it better, Need for Speed 2015, as I said, had some clothing malfunctions. It also had some unwrapping idiocy, like not to do with clothing, just a literal unwrapping a livery. AKA, people would put on a livery, unwrap this to see a cool paint job. They didn't even say the word livery in Need for Speed. They just weren't as... I don't really know how to word that nicely. They weren't as sophisticated? Maybe? I don't know. People didn't say livery as much in Need for Speed as they do in this game. Even though that's probably the technical term. But anyway, moving on. It pretty much said unwrap this livery, even though not livery usually, to see something cool. And then you unwrapped it, and some of the time it was cool. Some of the time it was absolutely nothing or something downright stupid. Need for Speed had no actual rating system where you could get rid of those points. Again, for Midnight Club, that stayed points too, even if GT Sport doesn't have this. Midnight Club had a rating system. You could rate it between 1 and 10. So if somebody made a livery that's something along the lines of unwrap this to see something cool, and then this plain wasn't something cool, you could rate it lower. It might get a lot of downloads to begin with, just because it's the equivalent of a clickbait thing. Clickbait video to clickbait livery, those kind of sort of are the same things. You have a clickbait thumbnail, people watch it, but then it might get a lot of dislikes. You have a clickbait livery, it might get a low rating, but well, without ratings, it kind of doesn't really work. I guess that actually is another nitpick for GT Sport. It doesn't have ratings. I've mentioned that in the initial video I did with like the GT Sport livery editor and stuff. The one comparing it to other two games I already mentioned, but it's more in depth just because I have time to. So if you watch those videos, those are still worth watching too, because it's more streamlined or whatever. This is getting into more like specific examples. But anyway, as for these liveries in particular, well, we're moving right along here. We got about a month and a half or so to go to get through them, including the demo liveries, which are on here too. It's pretty cool. That's nice they added them. By default, they're not going to be quite as good just because people didn't have all the cars back then and they didn't have a decal uploader. But, well, people put time into making them, so they may as well have them there. And, well, they are there, which is cool. So, continuing on. Pretty much to sum everything up, given that we only have about a month left to go with the liveries, is GT Sport has best Mopar livery. Decal editor plus a good fan base who isn't going to abuse stuff equals GT Sport has best Mopar liveries. In Midnight Club Los Angeles, given that you actually had to buy the cars anyway, and that was a sort of a fundamental flaw in general because it gave less incentives to get the liveries because you had to buy the car to get the livery. Liveries weren't free. I had like one Mopar livery in Midnight Club Los Angeles. I had to download like, I think the car I got it on was like a Dodge Viper, and that was a $60,000 car. And I already had a Dodge Viper anyway, which when you sold cars in that game, they sold for less than you got them for, so I could just trade off or whatever. Yeah, that way was stupid in doing it, but it did have a rating system, so in that way it gets points. There hasn't really even been a perfect livery system yet. There hasn't been one with a rating system with decal uploader where you get the liveries for free, and it has a like good report function that makes logical sense and stays consistent. But, well, maybe the day will come eventually. You don't know that for sure. And, well, this one still I think is all around best. The fan base helps too. So yeah, I can't really complain. There's been some bit out of the norm liveries for these. There's been Ford SVT Raptors with the Mopar tag on them. I mean, you can tag it whatever you want as long as it's a legal word to say, which Mopar is fine. It doesn't get censored at all, and it shouldn't be. But, yeah, people put some Raptors in there, which is kind of iffy, but whatever, no big deal. I think my internet might be telling me that it's time to be... Yeah, there it goes. Maybe that was just... I don't know. But we're about to end here. There's less than a month left of liveries, so... I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope if y'all made a livery that y'all enjoyed seeing your livery in a video. Because that's one thing that I always try my best to do is, like, make the community better and such. Like, make it to where the community grows, people get recognized and all that, because that's one of the good things about games now that there's YouTube, is that can actually happen. And it's definitely worth doing too, because it just, the more people get recognized, the more people want to play the game more to get more recognition, and then that just kind of helps everybody. So, I mean, there you go, folks. I don't know why it would seem like more at the beginning of when Livery Editor was a thing, less people were making them. Kind of an odd thing to be. Maybe again, just where at this point there wasn't a decal uploader, people didn't bother yet because they knew we were going to get one eventually and they just waited. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed this. There's been a whole heck of a heap of good liveries, way too many to count. I don't know, I would say there's probably been an average of maybe 2 a day. Some days have 0, but then some days have like 6. So, 2 a day for... And it's February now, early February, so... Realistically, with the... how we had the demo in mid-October, it's been... October, November, December, January. It's been almost 4 months now, so I can manage quite a bit of deliveries. That's a good thing. And really, for the most part, they've all been good. Like, even at the very beginning, they were pretty cotton picking high quality. That's pretty cotton picking high quality for not even having the decal thing at this point. And even I did deliveries back then, too. I thought I was actually going to be the first one to do Richard Petty livery, but they did newest to oldest in terms of this side is newest and this side is oldest. Somebody got me by a few hours, but, well, whatever, mine's on a different car, so it did alright. I'm not creative, and I could actually still make a decent enough livery. I mean, it wasn't like in depth or whatever. I couldn't do like the 3D shading and all that, like some of the actual real life Mopar liveries have. There's been a few people who did that in this game, which is pretty copy and awesome. Especially given that people don't get paid to do these in this game, so people put in hours upon hours of effort just to help others. Pretty much, which is again awesome. So it's definitely worth showing these. And even the ones that are even more just basic or whatever. I mean, if y'all like Mopar, y'all do livery that y'all think is good, then in my opinion, it's still worth sewing. Some people just plain don't have the talent to do them as good as others, and that's reasonable. I don't either. But it's still worth sewing any and all of them because just why not? Wouldn't be fair to leave anyone out. And it doesn't look like I have at this point. I think I see where this is going now. This is actually going where it's more than like 1 day per thing. I think my phone is actually probably about to die too, so this is gonna go down to the nitty gritty if I actually make it to the very end. I don't know, this is gonna be a bit close, but this is the point now where we're to the demo, so I might make it. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and well, there you go. This is the end. So, from pretty much the very beginning, all the liveries were pretty copy good. Can't really complain about any of them. There were a few off-the-wall ones, but I'm sure they were in good intentions nonetheless. I mean, even this very first one, that's better than I can do even now with the editor. And I mean, even stuff like this, it's basic, but it still works. It's still Mopar colors, and it still looks cool. So Mopar pretty much has all of the designs possible. Mopar designs kind of use all of the colors, which is pretty goddamn cool. All these liveries are pretty goddamn cool. And I hope y'all enjoyed this because, well, it's pretty goddamn cool showing all of these. And as always, yeehaw! There might be more of this in the future after a few more months when more in. Which will again be worth it. Yeehaw.